let's get in to this Tottenham update. And where else to start? Where else to start but the daily Savinho, people? So on the Savinho, we all know Manchester City are playing Arsenal today in the Community Shield, and Savinho is not in the squad. This illness must be really bad, and I really hope he gets better soon, but Savinho is not in the squad.
A dose of Tottenhamitis he's been diagnosed with. Romano tweeting about it as well, saying not in the squad today, with daily contacts from Tottenham continuing. I think that tells you all you need to know when it comes to where this deal is headed. Obviously, he's played the majority of pre-season, been actually one of their better players in pre-season as well. He's picked up a lot of praise from City fans and casual watchers who've been watching their pre-season games. So you would have thought if he was going to be part of the season, he would probably be starting today because he'd probably been deserving it through what he's done in pre-season. But not even on the bench, left out of the squad entirely, with rumours at the back end of last week that talks are ramping up and this could be done before the Brentford game. So I think that's exactly what we wanted to see, him being left out of the squad entirely, and that gives you more hope that this is coming to a conclusion now.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought he was going to be at least on the bench today, but he's not. He's out with illness, and let's see how this progresses this week now. We know that he was left out of training, or he left himself out of training with an illness at the back end of last week. Now he's not in the squad, so hopefully this really progresses now, and we can get him in time for the game this weekend. But someone actually makes a good point in the comments section that he's going to have to apply for a new work permit, so that might take a bit more time. So maybe it is a bit fanciful thinking that even if we get this deal wrapped up in the early stages of this coming week, if he can even be in the squad for the weekend.
I don't know how long these things take. I mean, assuming COYS is at City now, it shouldn't be too difficult to obtain it.
I can't remember if it was Tonali. I think it was Tonali. It took him a while to get that work permit. Do you not remember? And he couldn't train for I think Fernandes was training 3 or 4 days before him. And Fernandes actually signed off. Who signed first? Fernandes signed first, didn't he? It was a day in between, but it was a lot longer than that when Tonali got into training. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. But it probably is a bit fanciful thinking that he's going to be in the squad for the game this weekend. But let's hope that we can get it wrapped up, and he is. What's interesting is Fabrizio Romano on his YouTube channel yesterday said that the idea from Spurs is to sign Savinho and Gakpo plus a central striker. We were saying yesterday that we think it's just going to be Savinho and Gakpo, and maybe that's going to be that for the transfer business. SZY kind of responded to it and said that Tottenham are fuming at Fabrizio, and this was supposed to be a secret. Spurs it wasn't supposed to get out there that Spurs are going to be looking for a striker. But I mean, Spurs have been linked to strikers all summer. But anyway, SZY and a few other journalists has been talking about who that striker could be. And the first name that we're going to talk about is Nicolas Jackson. Fabrice Hawkins said yesterday that Villa, Tottenham, Atletico Madrid are among the clubs monitoring Nicolas Jackson. Chelsea value Jackson at £60 million, a figure currently providing a major obstacle to the teams chasing him. SZY does say, though, that Jackson apparently is not highly rated at Tottenham. But he also said in a tweet after it that he's saying that from the people that he's spoken to, it's not been ruled out. So, but it hasn't been ruled in. So make of that what you will.
Not first on the list. Again, maybe it's one where if we go to the last few days of the window, he's still available, we're still looking for a striker, maybe it's one we look at. As I've said before, I like Jackson. I don't think he's like a world-class striker or anything, but I think he's strong, physical, he's a nuisance, and he does get goals. In his 2 seasons at Chelsea, he scored, I think, 10 goals and 14 goals, and also was getting assists as well. So I think he's a good link player. I don't think he's an amazing finisher, but he gets himself lots of chances, which leads to opportunities to get goals, and he ends up with a decent goal tally by the end of the season usually. Does miss good, presentable chances. But I think if you're comparing him now to what we have, I think we might look a better team with someone like Jackson up front.
Yeah, and I think the traits that he has will be very suited to what Roberto De Zerbi wants to do. His link-up play, hold-up play, chaos maker. speed, athleticism. You know, he's got some really good traits about him. And I've always looked at Nicolas Jackson and said, this guy has got it all to be a top striker. He just needs to refine that finishing, and that's the kind of thing missing from his game. Like, if he could become a proper good finisher, then he'd be, you know, a top striker, wouldn't he? Like a top striker. And it's just that just holding him back right now. And I feel like he's been clowned upon a lot at his time at Chelsea. And when you look at the stats, when you look at the numbers, you think about, like, does that actually make sense for him to be clowned upon as much as he was with the amount of goals that he was actually getting?
I think a lot of Jackson is because in big moments, he seems to kind of fluff his lines a lot. I remember one, I think it was maybe the Carabao Cup final. Like, he had so many chances that game, and he just seemed to not be able to hit a barn door. And it's like, and also I think they played City in a semi-final, and he was missing one-on-one after. Sorry, I'm gonna sneeze. He's missing one-on-one after one-on-one, and I think those moments stick in your head, don't they?
Yeah, they do. But, you know, you got people just forget about the goal tally, and they just look at those kind of moments. You know what I mean? Like, every striker misses chances. He might miss more than your average striker, but also he's getting those strikers. He's getting those chances.
Yeah.
So you got to give him credit for that as well. So I wouldn't mind Nicolas Jackson at all. Another striker who's been mentioned is Georgi Mikatadze. What SZY says on Mikatadze is that he's a profile that Tottenham really like, a bit similar to Krupi.
Yeah, and I think the data definitely backs up. I think that is just the kind of player he is. I think there are little question marks in terms of his lack of physicality. Obviously, he's got no aerial kind of ability, so it's not like we can ever lump the ball to him and expect him to hold the ball up. But I would say, obviously, Richarlison and Solanke are quite decent at that. So if we got one of those strikers, and then you got Mikatadze, you might have a good balance and a good kind of variety there. I like the thought of Mikatadze because I think he provides a lot of quality, technical ability in that forward line. I think he's almost like a 9.5. Like, he can drop deep, he can provide assists, he can pick the lock, but also he's a really good finisher. He can be like Roberto Firmino kind of player. That's kind of how I see him. Yeah, the only question marks about whether he's physically got it to play in the Premier League. I think that's what we got to think about. But I like him. I think he'd be high on my list.
I think if you remember what Roberto De Zerbi was saying about when he was talking about bringing players in the forward line, that he wanted players with height and to think about set pieces and stuff. He doesn't really play into that. But whenever I've seen him play, he's always been a kind of threat. So I would say that, but we'll have to wait and see. The other player that has been mentioned is Ollie Watkins. So this is really interesting because SZY says that Ollie Watkins has been offered to Spurs, but he is in talks with another team. That's what he's saying. He believes he's in talk with another team.
There was rumours of Turkey. So I wonder if it's a team like out there, or I don't know. If it's in the Premier League, I mean, who would it be? I don't know. I can't. Newcastle? Would it be any of the top 6 teams? Chelsea? I mean, Chelsea just signed well.
No, it won't be Chelsea.
Liverpool? No.
No, it could be Manchester United.
Yeah, maybe Man United, an alternative to Sesko. So
and
maybe
Sesko
him
as well, going into the season with injury problems.
Yeah, so maybe it's them. But look, I for one, yes, you would have to consider him for me a short-term option. He's not going to be your striker for like 5 years, but that's fine. I think if you could have him for 2 or 3 years at the level that he's at now, I think he is a player that isn't maybe at peak fitness. I think I was looking at some of his numbers and he is way down when it comes to like pressures and stuff. So he's I think Villa maybe allow him not to do as much defensive duty as other strikers, but he's still got the physicality to hold the ball up. He kind of battles for second balls very well, and the most important thing is he puts the ball in the back of the net, and he's got a very good scoring record. Last season was a weird one for him because up until December he had like 2 goals. He was really struggling, and then I don't know what happened, but from like February onwards, I think it kind of turned for him when he was left out of the England squad just before the World Cup. And it was like, okay, he realised I got a real knuckle down here if I'm going to make that England squad. And he went on a mad run. He scored like 13 goals in the last like few months of the season and ended up with a really healthy goal tally.
16 he got last season, yeah.
Yeah, but like up until January, he was like he had like 3 goals, I think it was. Like he was really struggling. So I don't know what is indicative of what you can learn from that. Why was he struggling so much early on, and what was the difference? What was the turning point? But if you obviously take his history over the last few years, he's obviously been a massive goal scorer. He's been a brilliant striker. There was that one season he scored like 19 goals and also got like 15 assists. He was like ridiculous. That was like a couple of years ago now. I would love Watkins. I would take him. I think he's much better than what we have. I think it is a short-term option. He's already 30, so you've got to bear that in mind. But in terms of a striker, I don't know who we can get who's better than him right now, to be honest. It's a hard one to say.
Yeah, in terms of like what you're talking about in guaranteed goals, he'll bring you that. He'll put the ball in the back of the net, and I much would prefer to trust him than a Solanke and a Richarlison. I think he would be our starting striker week in, week out, and he'll get us goals, and that's what we want. If you had Savinho and Gakpo, or Savinho and Kudus, or Kudus and Tell, or whatever, they're going to lay chances on for him, and he's going to put the ball in the back of the net. So I would definitely take Ollie Watkins this summer, 100%. And the other strikers he's mentioned is Mateta, Thiago, and Balogun, and he's just said no to all of them. Basically, Spurs are going to go for all 3 of them.
Fair enough. As long as we have someone better in mind, and as long as we get someone over the line, I don't mind. I think they should all be considered. I don't think we should definitely bat them off outright. But yeah, I don't think any of them should be first choice. I kind of agree with that.
I'm kind of surprised about the Mateta one, because like he as well is a proven goal scorer in the Premier League going into the last year of his contract. I think you could probably get him at a fairly good price, and I think he'd be pretty decent in a De Zerbi Spurs team. Balogun, I'm kind of not sure about. Thiago's an interesting one, isn't it? Because he just had such a fantastic season last year. But in terms of like his technical ability, it just seems really low. Like, is he good? Was it kind of like a one-season wonder for him? I guess we'll see this season. Or
it does seem to be bagging in pre-season.
Yeah, but you know, you looked at it in the World Cup and you're just thinking, well, this is just a poor player. That's what you thought that's what I thought when I was watching.
Yeah, he wasn't good at the World Cup.
So that's the striker situation. On the right back situation, which is interesting, we heard from Spurs Journal yesterday saying that they're not fully focused on getting a right back, but SZY says those suggesting Gray is going to be covered at right back is not the truth. He says if Gakpo and Savinho get over the line before the last few days of the window, then they would like to do it this summer, as Roberto De Zerbi does want another right back in. So we're going to look to get our attacking business first, and then a right back will be kind of the last thought, which is kind of plays into what Spurs Journal was saying anyway.
Yeah, this is what we were saying yesterday. It's not a priority as much as I want a new right back. I think we need to be focusing on getting these attacking players, and if we can have time and money to get that another right back in, then we do it. But I would rather be relying on Gray as backup right back than miss out on any attacking targets. That shouldn't be the focus.
Yeah, the thing is, it's just like, why are we leaving this all so late? That's what I was saying yesterday. Like, we knew Spence was going. We knew we needed a regeneration of this forward line. We're now a week to go till the start of the season, 2 weeks to go till the end of the transfer window. And we've just got so much business still left to do. Like this last month, we could have done so much business that we've needed to do, and we haven't done it. So that's kind of the biggest frustration for me. We've known that we've wanted to do it, and for one reason or another, we just haven't.
Yeah. Look, maybe it's needed this time for the market to move. Obviously, Savinho and Gakpo haven't really opened up until, hopefully, they open up in the last week and next week or so. But those have been kind of closed options, it seems, up until this point. When it comes to the striker, I don't know what I mean. If those are our targets, those all could have been done a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand.
And the right back as well.
And the right back as well. So I don't know why it's taking long.
Yeah. Well, look, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories that we have brought you today. It is time